You founded the Grameen Bank to effect loans on a wider scale, mostly to people with little cash and little collateral as well, who wouldn't be served by typical banks. It's triggered a wave of growth. To what extent on the African continent?
Oh, well, it's growing. The loan is not with collateral, without collateral. So that has to be very clear, because it's aimed for poor people, particularly poor women, for income generating activity. And it works very well. The repayment rate is near 100%, 98%, 97%. And it flourished in Asia. It's now also spread in Africa. And Africa is doing pretty well, and particularly Kenya. Kenya is kind of taking the leadership in moving microcredit frontier expand. And now it's a challenge to all of Africa to see how to bring the financial services to every single person in this planet, particularly in this region, how soon we can do that. We talk about how many people have been reached already, but at the same time we have to remind ourselves how many people we have not reached yet. So that's the kind of challenge we have.
Undeniably, there's risk to consider as well. We've seen news headlines just today reveal that the central bank's efforts to get commercial banks to lower their interest rates or their lending rates in tandem with the central banks itself hasn't entirely worked. The banks are citing the cost of funds and the level of risk as the main reasons behind their their resistance to the moves. Where risk is at the forefront, how do successful microfinanciers weigh the opportunity against risk?
When we talk about microcredit, we are talking about the poor people. We are talking about make the interest rate as low as possible, because the whole objective of microcredit is to help the poor people get out of poverty as quickly as they can, creating their self-employment, because not everybody comes into the employment arena. So there are a lot of people left out, and particularly women, and they can start their income generating activity and move out. So we want to keep the interest rate as low as possible, at the same time making the organization self-reliant so that you don't lose money. So that's basically the idea of microcredit. So I don't see we will have any conflict with the central bank or anybody, because covering the cost, and it'll give a little margin to cover the emergencies. That will be the basic objective of the microfinance organization. But some people are using microfinance as a tool, as a vehicle to make money for themselves, which is the wrong direction, really. That's not how microcredit was designed in the first place. It was designed to protect poor people from the loan sharks. So this idea of microcredit shouldn't be used to turning somebody as loan sharks, taking money, making money out of the poor people. So we have to be very careful when we bring microcredit. And it will be basically a social business where profit making is not the intention. Intention is to solve the problem.
Yep. Well, when it comes to these businesses themselves, the microfinanciers themselves, I mean, risk mitigating strategies would have to be employed, one would assume. So run us through some of the strategies that are being employed in that regard.
There are lots of challenges. One of the challenges to give them local legal home, so that they can operate in their work in a way they can take deposits. Today, microfinance organizations are known as MFIs, which are basically NGOs, which lend money but cannot take deposits. So they are dependent on external sources of money coming to them, so that they can lend the money to the poor people. So that's not a very reliable system. Also, it doesn't allow you to expand your system as fast as you can, because you're always short of money. You're always looking back, who is giving you the money to lend money to the poor people. So if you have the legal home where you will allow to take deposits, and then take the deposit money and lend the money to the poor people, then it becomes a very strong financial organization, and it's not limited by the availability of fund, because you can mobilize deposits wherever you can go, because money is here. We don't need hard currency to do microcredit. It's all local currency. It can be done very easily. So that one issue is a challenge, and creating a regulatory body to look at this microcredit program, that will be another challenge.
Well, Professor, I'm not sure if you can hear me at this stage because I think the line
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Then let's continue. I mean, looking at the entire situation right now, I mean, banks' risk mitigating strategies aside, the rise in commercialization of microfinance activities throws more emphasis on the regulatory framework in the sector as a whole. What are we looking at in terms of development in that regard on a global scale?
Yeah, it's a good point because we are in the middle of a financial crisis. We have seen how the financial institutions literally collapsed, kind of melted away in the face of the crisis. So we have to redesign the entire financial system. The financial system we thought is as solid as a rock was not actually solid as a rock. We saw it's melted like ice, melting away. So we have to go back. We can't just repeat the same kind of system and go back to the old normalcy. We have to create a new normalcy. And new normalcy requires the redesigning of the financial system where nobody will be left out. That will be the basic core challenge of the financial system. And this is microcredit already shown that this can be done, how to piece them together into an integrated system. That will be the challenge. And commercialization, the word commercialization kind of tickles another idea of making money. I wouldn't go in that direction at all, because poor people are not there to make money for the rich people. So I would cut it off completely. Forget about that. We have enough money to do it by taking deposit and lending money, at the same time become self-sustaining and helping. Every penny we have, we'll pass it on to the poor person so that she can move up faster than before. That penny, whether it should come to me or to go to the poor person, I would overwhelmingly support giving it to the poor person. So that should be the one. This microcredit summit that you're holding in Nairobi will bring it out and make it very clear that what we mean by microcredit and microfinance is not for anybody's to make money for themselves.